Hello everybody, my name is Rolo and today we're reading more Reddit stories. So if that's your cup of tea, please do like and subscribe and let's jump right in. Our first story comes from the user StunningWay9393 with the title, Am I the asshole for having my ex arrested at my wedding? This happened 2 days ago at mine, 28, and my wife's, 39, wedding, and a lot of people are telling me I'm in the wrong for having my ex, 27, arrested, and my wife is saying I ruined the wedding and caused a scene. First, a little backstory on my ex. We were together over 5 years ago for a matter of weeks. I broke things off because I just wasn't into her that much. She began to pester me over text and social media all of the time to get back together or just hook up. This went on for months, and in a particularly weak moment, I gave in and slept with her again. And at this point, things got a lot worse. I tried to explain that it was a mistake, and I still didn't want anything from her, and I still didn't want anything with her. From then, the messages ranged from abusive to begging me for sex. Eventually, I just blocked her. From then, she started turning up at my house, work, and social spaces I went to often. She attempted to force herself on me and threatened violence, and at that point, I got a restraining order. Since then, I haven't heard from her in years. I met my wife 3 years ago, and she is honestly the best thing in my life. We fell in love hard, and honestly have a great relationship. We got engaged after 2 years and 2 days ago finally had our wedding. The day was going amazingly until a friend of mine, who I'll call Chris, turned up with his +1, my ex. I spoke to him and he had absolutely no idea about my history with her, and we tried to get her to leave. After she refused, I decided to just ring the police. 2 officers showed up to arrest her for breaking her restraining order, and she flipped out. She was shouting and screaming. She hurled abuse at my wife and claimed that we were meant to be together, which obviously distracted from our wedding. Now my wife is upset with me for causing a scene, and a lot of our friends are saying that I should have just ignored it and focused on the day, because she wasn't causing any problems up until the police showed up. So, am I the asshole? Edit to answer some questions I've had. Yes, my wife knew I had a restraining order against a stalker. We spoke about it when we started to become serious. A few family members also knew, but my friends didn't, as I never spoke to them about it. OP is not the asshole in this situation because he is not the one who caused the scene at the wedding. His ex-girlfriend broke her restraining order and rightfully got arrested because she has a restraining order against her to protect OP. They don't just grant restraining orders willy-nilly. There's a reason, and clearly he was able to prove enough harassment and stalking to get that. She is obviously in the background still stalking him in some ways, maybe on his social media, to know who his close circle of friends is, because none of them knew about this ex-girlfriend. Otherwise, his friend Chris wouldn't have had her as a +1. I did see in the comments some people commenting that the wife should have been more supportive in this situation. However, I can imagine it's just how she's dealing with the situation, It's supposed to be their big day, they're getting married, and instead of the focus be on celebrating them, this ex-girlfriend showed up and had to be arrested to protect OP, and she's probably just feeling a little bit hurt. They've put all this money, this time, the planning, and it probably feels to her that it's all gone to shit. It's ruined. All of her effort is wasted. So I don't blame the wife for her reaction, and the closest person she can take it out on is OP because the direct link to the ex is him. But she probably knows in her heart it's not actually on him that this situation happened. But we do have an update for this story, so let's get into that and find out what happened. I got a lot of requests for an update on my original post, so here it is. It's been a very long day. Since I first posted, I have spoken to both my wife and Chris. Starting with my wife, we had a very long, tearful conversation about everything from my ex to our wedding. I apologized for the fact that I didn't consider involving her before calling the police, which meant that X's outburst when being escorted came as a complete surprise to her. She apologized for the way she reacted and explained that she wasn't angry at me, but is angry at X, the fact the wedding was ruined and that the focus was shifted away from us and to X. Her anger was misdirected. Another reason for the anger is that a lot of guests had no idea who X was, so X's comment of "we're meant to be together" has apparently led to people theorizing that I had been cheating on my wife with X. So we are now having to put out fires before rumors begin to spread. My wife is now very much focused on making sure I am okay after all of this, though she is still distraught about our special day being ruined, but we will work through that together. On to Chris. This is where things get a little scary. Me and wife called him together firstly to check that he is okay. He is. And secondly to see how the hell she's managed to worm her way into his life in order to get to my wedding. According to Chris, they connected over social media. She started liking his posts over the course of a month and then DM'd him, and they started chatting from there. The crazy part is that to Chris, X has a completely different name, but the post on her profile dated back 3 years, meaning that she has had this profile with a fake name for at least 3 years, and it's not the only one. Chris told us that a few other guys contacted him after the wedding, saying that they recognized her as they had all also got DMs from her on different accounts, all with a different name. There is at least 3 other accounts that we are currently aware of. Apparently X showed no signs of being obsessed with me or even that she knew who I was. He invited her as a +1, thinking they might eventually get serious as they were having a really good time together. He has apologized profusely, but we have made it clear that we do not blame him for this. There has been no word currently on what's going on with X, but considering her breaching the restraining order and resisting arrest, we assume she will probably end up in prison. Me and wife have spoken about it, and if we are contacted by the police, we will absolutely press charges, and wife will also be getting a restraining order. For now, we are going to try and enjoy our honeymoon and deal with the rest of this mess when we get back. Thank you Reddit for all of the advice and opinions. You gave a lot of perspectives on the situation that I had not considered. What a wild twist of events. This X having more than 3 accounts likely with different fake names, DMing as many people in OP's circle as possible just to try to get close to him. That is actually insane, and hopefully OP can find a way to stay safe from this woman because she is absolutely unhinged. Who has the time for that? A 5-year ex as well, like move on, get therapy. There's better things to do with your life than this. Anyway, what is your opinion on this situation? What do you think of the unhinged ex? Let me know in the comments below, and let's move on to our next story. Our next story comes from the user Open Address 2805 with the title, "Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend that my money isn't our money?" I've been dating my girlfriend for over 2 years. I earn 95k working in corporate finance, and she is a final year law student working part-time, earning around 40k, I think. I'm not a baller, obviously, but I live with my parents and have minimal expenses, live frugally, so I save a big chunk of my income. She, on the other hand, is really bad with money. She doesn't piss it away on drugs or gambling and stuff, but she'll buy expensive gifts for her friends or me. She'll treat people a lot to food, drinks, Ubers and stuff. That's all nice things to do, obviously, within reason. You have to think about yourself and your own finances too. She's a very giving and selfless person and has this, "it's just money, I'll make more. It's all about the memories" attitude. But you need money. You have to be smart and responsible with it, which I've told her, but she seems to think I'm just being cheap and not living in the moment. She says dumb things like, "What good is your stock portfolio or savings if you die tomorrow?" etc. She was complaining yesterday about how she barely has any savings, and I was like, no shit, of course you don't have any savings. How would you? You're literally spending every dollar you get. How would anyone save doing that? Then she said, well, it's not the end of the world if I run out because you've got some, right? I don't want to use your money, but if I don't have any, you've got enough for both of us, don't you? I said, whoa, okay, I don't have money for us. I have money for me. Granted, I'll spend my money on you, like I'll pick up every 2 or 3 dinners for every one that you get. I'll buy us more snacks and pay for more dates, etc. because I earn more. I'll pay more proportionally. But this isn't our money. It's my money, and you can't expect to basically use my money because you can't handle your own money. I told her that financial incompatibility is the biggest reason for divorce, and currently, we are financially incompatible, and this needs to be fixed if we want to have a good relationship. I'm very good with my money, but I'm not cheap. I spend it and have fun, but do it in a smart way that doesn't leave me broke. You need to start being smart with your money and stop seeing my money as yours. She got really mad and started calling me a selfish asshole and all this nonsense, but I'm just speaking facts here. If she views my money as also hers, that is basically going to enable her to continue pissing her money away and relying on me to be her personal ATM. Edit, she is also living at home with her parents, pays no bills or rent or living expenses. I'm 26 years old, 2 years out of uni, she's 24. Not the asshole. I mean, you're right, it is your money. You're not married, your finances are not combined, you're living separately, you have no shared expenses. This is a case where your finances are completely separate, unlike a marriage where you would typically be expected to have joined everything, be splitting almost everything proportionally, and stuff like that. And she's expecting that kind of a situation as a girlfriend of 2 years. To the point where she is not managing her money because she expects you to be her fallback and use whatever you have to subsidize her, basically. Which is not on, really, is it? But there is the caveat that you do work in finances. You have the resources, the knowledge to help her with this. You could set out a budget together, help her get some savings in the bank and stuff. Most people, I think, with the attitude of, oh, spend it all and, you know, what's the point if you die tomorrow? They only have that attitude because they just don't realize how important financial knowledge is, or they don't have it. So you working in a sector to do with finances, your words might have more weight. You're incompatible now, but you can use your knowledge, your expertise to work together to fix this area of incompatibility, provided everything else is, you know, hunky-dory and you're perfect for everything else. But what do you think of this situation, guys? Let me know in the comments below, and let's move on. Our next story comes from the user Explainer003 with the title, Am I the asshole for not giving my coworker my baseball tickets? I, 28 male, received 2 baseball tickets for the Toronto Blue Jays at a work Christmas party. It was a random draw and various suppliers sent over various items from alcohol to coffee makers. One vendor splits a season pass every year with his brother and gave up 2 of his seats for the party. These are fantastic seats, by the way. My coworker, 60 female, works in the office and knew every gift that came in. She really wanted those Blue Jays tickets. The moment I got those tickets, my coworker began trying to convince me to give her the tickets. She argues that I don't watch baseball and can't drive to Toronto. I invited my mother. Mum rarely passes the opportunity to spend time with me, and I never say no to free anything. My coworker says she would appreciate the tickets more, but I said no. Over the next few months, while I set up a date with the vendor to go to the game, my coworker would try to get me to transfer the tickets over. I stay firm about keeping the tickets. Things hit an end yesterday. My coworker tried to call the vendor to tell him she now owns the tickets. I already took the tickets weeks ago. The vendor tells her to talk to me as I already got the tickets. She goes up to me, I'm on the factory floor, and goes on a rant about the tickets and how I need to transfer them to her. I snapped and told her over my dead body. Later, one of my buddies on the floor says I could have handled it better. I'm just fed up with her trying to get me to transfer my tickets. Am I the asshole for not handing my coworker my baseball tickets? Edit. Unfortunately, my coworker is buddy-buddy with the HR rep. I'm currently looking for a new job because of this dynamic. Absolutely not the asshole. You won those tickets fair and square, and if she wants to go so much, she can buy her own tickets. She doesn't need the best seats. You don't need to hand them over. This is just a ridiculous situation. The fact that she has pushed you to the point where you are now looking for a new job, she's created a hostile work environment, and because she's friends with the HR rep, she's causing everybody to be scared to report her, basically, if she does anything. I think that in this situation, going past HR, telling the person higher than them, I'm uncomfortable going to HR because my conflict is with this person who is friends with the HR representative. This is the situation. How can we sort this? Obviously, just moving on to a new job and leaving it all behind is fine. But personally, if I was in this situation, I would want justice for myself. Like, why am I in this situation when all I did was win some tickets at a work Christmas party? It's ridiculous. Not the asshole OP. But what do you think about the situation? Tell me in the comments below. And thank you so much for reading to the end with me. Hopefully I'll see you next time. And bye bye!